Works meeting this morning. The meeting will not be open to the general public. Public is invited to view the meeting on Suddenlink Channel 10, www.cityofclovis.org, and Facebook at City of Clovis NM. If you have any questions you'd like to address to the committee, they can be called in at 575-763-9200. And we will call the meeting to order and ask Ms. Reyes if she will please call roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Here.
Russ Backoff, George Jones,
Here.
Cliff Martin,
Here.
Commissioner Levitt, Commissioner Madrid,
Here.
Randy Petty,
Here.
and Commissioner Rowley.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Move down to number 3, which is approval of the minutes for August the 26th of 2020. Those were emailed out to everyone, and if you had the opportunity to look those over, I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we do have a motion. We do have a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
I would like to abstain from
Okay,
those
we have
since
one-
I was not here.
okay, thank you. One abstention. And the minutes are approved. Down to number 4 is discussion and recommendation concerning 2021 local government road fund application. Mr. Bunch.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. As you probably know, it's time again for the New Mexico Department of Transportation to ask for a call for projects. They have solicited us for a project. I've discussed it with City Manager Justin Howalt, and we've come up with a project that it was actually Justin's idea to concrete the roundabout up on Llano and Norris. As you know, that was built several years ago, and the lanes on the roundabout are asphalt paving, and because of the way the roundabout is designed and going in a circle, the pavement is pushing, and you notice there's humps in the pavement at this time. Justin and I thought it would probably be prudent to go ahead and get that concreted by a contractor, the whole thing. I've got a handout for you of a quote from Nick Griego and Sons Construction. If you look in the top left up there, you'll see it's highlighted. The proposed value of the project is $263,000 roughly. To do that, that's 8-inch concrete, reinforced with dowels, saw cut, joint seal, all the earthwork, and everything needed for that whole project. When we apply for this, we would probably apply for 3/4 of the price, and the city would be required to do a 25% match for this project. If you look on the next couple pages, you'll see, look at the back. No, I don't have it on there, sorry. The part of the design will make the concrete extend past the existing bull noses or islands, 15 feet. So people coming into the circle and out of the circle will be going in a straight line while they're entering and exiting. So there will be no pushing at all anywhere on pavement. So any questions on what we'd like to apply for?
Okay, any questions?
Mayor Pro Tem and commissioners and members of the committee, the tricky part of all of this is going to be the traffic control. So,
I was getting ready to ask that.
yeah, absolutely. So they have a price in here to do it, which is on them to come up with the design of that traffic control. But if we are moving forward with this project and awarded this funds, once we get to construction, I would ask that everybody bear with us while we try to construct and build this. Obviously, with traffic on top of the roundabout, it'll be difficult.
Yeah, it'd be no different than 7th Street. I mean, and that project lasted a lot longer than this one will, so I think it needs to be done significantly. I mean, I drive that roundabout all the time.
Yeah, and I agree. It's heavily traveled. What kind of timeline are we looking at as far as getting that accomplished?
Well, of course, we'd have to apply, and then we'd have
Right.
to see if we receive the funds. I did not get an actual timeline of how long it would take to do that whole project, but we did discuss with, Nick Griego Jr. that they could possibly divert traffic north and south around one side of the roundabout at that time. It would make it less impact. There would be impacts, east and west at one time, north and south, but maybe not both at the same time. Right. So there might be a way to make it better than it was when we actually did the original roundabout, which was close the entire intersection down.
Okay. And that was my concern, was the, no traffic control in that area while this project's going
Project for
on.
that part, yes, and it's gonna impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
Should he do the traffic around that roundabout through that residential?
Yeah, we'd have to figure out, how to do it, and you would try to impact the residential as little as possible, but they're talking about using the existing traffic control that was done for the original project that Chad Leidig has, or they're gonna modify that, like I said, where they can, divert traffic around part of the roundabout, do half the roundabout at one time, and then do the other half after that cures, to lessen the impact on everybody.
Okay.
The actual applications are due March 15th.
Right.
I believe. And so if this is approved by this committee today, then we'll take it to the city commission at our first meeting in March, and then we'll get our application put together and submitted.
Okay, sounds good.
So-
Any other questions?
Yeah, well, I've just got a question, maybe comment. That was gonna be my question, is if you're gonna require a written plan prior to construction. And if you do, if I can have a copy of that, so we can get with Adair Busing and send, obviously, something to parents.
Yes, there will be a complete traffic control plan for this project.
Yeah, okay, very good, thank you.
Any other questions? I think this,
Do we need to make a motion? Do we need a
Yes,
motion?
it's an
I make a
action item.
motion, we approve the project.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Could we have a roll call, please?
Russ Backhoff? George Jones?
Yes.
Cliff Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Madrid?
Yes.
Randy Petty?
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Yes. Okay. Passes. We'll move down to number 5, update on current projects. First one is the city update with Mr. Howald and Mr. Bunch. Who's gonna go first?
I can go ahead and go.
You want a rock, scissors, paper for it?
I'll
Flip a
kick off.
coin?
On a similar note, one of the projects that's going on right now is to re-concrete the intersection of 7th and Thornton. It is part of the same money that we'll be possibly receiving for this. It's just this year's project. So Leidig Engineers is working on a design plan right now for that, to take the swell out of that intersection to help with the drainage where that water holds in there. They're also planning on putting new conduits underneath that concrete for a traffic signal when money is available to put in a whole new traffic signal at that intersection. So that's one thing
Okay.
we're working on right now. Another thing, we're working on the landfill closure for cells 1 through 4. At this time, we're just about full on all of those cells. We're working with an engineering firm on coming up with a plan to do the closure on that. That consists of getting the grades to the right slopes, getting everything done, the seeding, and closing that landfill where it looks like the older landfill that we have now. At this time, we have cell 5 available that was completed a couple of years ago. It's a lined landfill that's designed to last us from 20 to 25 years for city and region use. We're starting to design also, as soon as this, the 7th and Thornton design is done, I'm getting with Mr. Leidig again on a project to do a design on the million-gallon lagoon that we have at the wastewater plant. We're talking about concreting this lagoon and using the water from the lagoon back through the reuse system. Because at this time, our reuse system runs off of anything that flows out of the plant has to go to the reuse, and then it flows through the reuse system. And that's usually the high flows is in the daytime. At nighttime, from say 10 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning, we have a lull with flows coming in, so our plant can't produce enough water to go to the reuse system, so we have downtime. If we get this lagoon lined and make it functional, we'll be able to pull water from the lagoon, which has already been treated by the plant, but pull it back through and use that water on the downtime, so we have reuse water flowing through the system at all times of the day. So that's something that we're interested in doing, and Justin and some other engineering firms are looking at that to see if it's viable. Also, on our traffic signals, we've installed preemption equipment on 29 out of our 39 signals at this time. We still have 5 more that are coming in, so pretty quick we'll have just about every intersection in town with new preemption equipment. And preemption equipment is equipment that's designed for emergency services. It's a system where, it's a GPS system where if the emergency service unit has one of their units in there, as soon as they hit their siren or their lights, the system will pick them up and give them basically green lights everywhere they're going and stop traffic on the side streets. It's a very, very good system. We're just getting into it. We're gonna have all the signals done, like I said, in the next couple of months, except for the 4 that will be redesigned in the future by DOT, and then we'll install those at that time. But it's gonna be a good tool for our EMS system. It's gonna help with accidents when people are, traveling in emergency vehicles. And it'll also help with our fire and police to kind of, check their routes and see how their employees react to situations and see how well it works. So that's something that's in the works right now. A project that's going on is the Justin Street Channel. I don't know if anybody's aware of Justin Street, which is south of town here. It's this little short street. Beside that street, there's a drainage channel that's been there forever that comes out of the Sunrise Addition. It goes south and then it turns east and goes right along Justin Street and outflows onto Prince Street. At this time, we're having that drainage channel concreted. Nick Griego is in the process of it right now. They would have been done with the weather that we had the last couple of weeks, but they're in the process of getting that concreted at this time. And it's gonna help out with a lot of maintenance. A lot of maintenance on that ditch, or weed control, for washouts, and this should take care of that for many years to come. And that's all I have,
Okay.
Justin.
Good, thank you.
And just to follow up on a couple of those, on the landfill closure, from a funding aspect, this group may recall that we have an environmental gross receipts tax in place, and those are the funds that we'll utilize to close the landfill. So the funding is already in place, so we won't have to find those funds to do that construction project. And on the preemption, we've actually got the units installed, I believe, one in the fire department already, and one in the police department. They run about $2,000–3,000 a piece to place the component that needs to go into the vehicular units to make the whole system work. But we put it on, I believe, our ladder truck in the fire department, which is one of our more expensive pieces of equipment. And so we obviously want to make sure that we're not taking the risk of having a wreck at an intersection, obviously, with that piece of equipment. So we're testing it through those departments, and it's something that, like Clint said, I think is going to be very beneficial to response times and getting to where they need to go quickly.
Well, they got a great safety feature.
Absolutely, absolutely. A couple other projects that we've had going on since August of last year. The asset management plans for both the reuse project and the wastewater collection system have been completed. Bohannon Houston completed the one for the reuse project, and CDM Smith completed the one for the wastewater collection system. And now that we have those in place, what we will do is look at what our annual costs are that we need to be setting aside within our budgets to plan for those future expenditures. What they do in part of the asset management process is identifying your assets, identifying the criticality of those assets and prioritizing them, and then as well as looking at the useful life of them. So that way we've identified the pieces of equipment that if there is a failure, we need to get it replaced obviously quickly, and so we want to make sure that the funding is available there in case that is there. And so an example of that is, for example, the main pipe coming into the wastewater treatment plant that brings the entire community in is very critical to that system. However, an 8-inch pipe that is serving a small number of houses isn't that critical when you look at it as the total impact to the entire system. And so, like I said, we've completed both of those studies, and now that we're getting into the strategic planning process as well as into our budgeting processes, we'll see how we can take that information and those reports and implement them into the way we're doing our budgeting within those two enterprise funds. We've also completed the wastewater collection system model update. We originally looked at that back in the around 2010, 2011 timeframe. And since that time, we've had some growth within our community. And so we want to make sure that, and we're about to see a little bit more growth as we have some more plats coming in. We want to make sure that we have the ability and the capacity within our sewer lines to be able to take on that additional growth. And if, based on where those subdivision are proposed to go in, if there's impacts that, from a capacity standpoint, and we need to make some changes or upsize lines, we'll now know. And so what they did was took our comprehensive plan that we completed, looked at the growth, what was proposed within the comprehensive plans, talked to Epcor Water and where they were planning on growing, and then put that all into the model for us to review. And now we have that available to us to make those decisions and correct decisions and educated decisions when subdivision plats are starting to come in front of us as well. The Llano Drainage Project is 90% complete. HDR is doing that. And if you recall, that is extending the storm sewer system that was placed in north of Llano. It now outfalls east of Norris Street and into a roadside ditch, and then makes its way down to Gauker Playa. We're also having issues with drainage at Woodlark and Kearney. There's not enough inlet capacity within that system itself, and so the water just simply can't get into the storm drain fast enough at the rate at which it's coming to that intersection. So we included that as part of this project. Like I said, they're 90% complete with that. Had a meeting with them just the other day. The estimated cost for that is around $3 million. Obviously, we don't have that, so it's a project that we'll have sitting on the shelf, ready to go when we start to look for funding in the future for completing that. The Martin Luther King design from 7th Street going north to 21st Street. They're approaching 90% design on that one as well. Met with them the other day. They're finished with everything except for they're looking at the traffic signals at both 7th and 21st Street, as well as the lighting design, the roadway lighting design going north and south along the corridor. So they should be submitting those plans to me here in the next month or so at 90%. The estimated cost on that one at 60% was around $6 million. Of course, it is expensive, but we're proposing to concrete line the channel, Worthington Ditch in that area. And so, which from a maintenance standpoint as well as a flow standpoint, it'll improve that. We'll be wrapping that up here pretty quickly as well. Phase 1D of the reuse project, K Barnett is still constructing that. That project itself is about 95% complete. That's the one where we've built the elevated storage tank. They're currently, obviously the weather set them back a couple of weeks ago, and just simply because it's cold also. They're waiting for the painters to come back to paint the inside of the chlorine room. Once the painting is finished, then they'll start on the piping system to put that chlorine system in place. But they're about 95% complete, and they should be wrapping that up pretty quickly. Phase 2 of the reuse system is broken into two different components. The ponds is the first component, and actually bids are due today to build the ponds that are on the back nine of Colonial Park Golf Course. And so what we'll do on that is come in and excavate down to about 15 feet, which will give us the volume that's necessary to water the entire golf course with reuse water. Come in and line them. They'll coordinate with the irrigation contractor that's out there working currently to get the new pump stations put into place, as well as to put the discharge system to take the reuse water from the piping and place it into the ponds themselves. The transmission line, which will take the reuse system from about Allsup's headquarters there on Thornton, north up Thornton all the way to Wilhite, and then east down Wilhite to get to that back nine system. We're wrapping up the design on that, and we'll be going out to bid for that project here pretty quickly. We've been coordinating with John on where they would like the end user points located for both Berry Elementary as well as Gaddis Middle School. And so we'll have that as part of that project too. So that way when the school's ready to tie in, they'll have that capability to be able to do that. I did receive a quote from for the improvements at 21st Street and Prince that we've discussed in the past to come in there with redoing the driveway out of Walgreens that connects to 21st Street, as well as looking at median improvements along 21st Street as well as Prince Street. And that quote came in at around $68,000. However, these last 2 months, we've seen a little dip in our gross receipts taxes. And so that's something that I feel we need to hold on to. Make sure that our gross receipts taxes are hopefully will come back up. But I just simply at this time don't want to put an unaccounted for expense onto what we already have within the city. So that's something that, like I said, we've received a quote on. We now have a figure in which we can work with in the future and put that into the budget for a future project. The FEMA study, which is also being conducted by Moles and Corbin, met with their subcontractor Stantec a couple of weeks ago. It's progressing very nicely. It's amazing the modeling techniques that they have now in order to model storms and flooding. It is a lengthy process. By the time they hit go on the model, it takes about 24 hours for the model itself to run, because what it does is it looks at the entire basin that you're analyzing and tracks a drop of water, how it flows off and where it runs, and it's doing it across the entire basin. The level of topography that we now have capable to us is showing what we see on the ground and what the models have not always shown, and that's basically the water staying within the road beds, and so staying within that curb and gutter line. And so hopefully when they wrap that up, we'll see some reduction in our FEMA flood zone. And so I think that's very important to our community. We want to make sure that the work is accurate, the model is accurate, and then we'll be working with FEMA Region 6 to go through the LOMAR process and start working on getting our FEMA maps revised and help our residents with obviously flood insurance. We continue to work with Playa Lake Joint Ventures on the Preby Pond. That's the Playa Lake that is located in the northwest corner of Llano and Martin Luther King. They have now, I've received a MOA from the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish to utilize basically Pittman-Robertson funds to come in there and make some improvements to that area and fix some of the erosion that we've had from storm drain coming in there. They would pay for basically 90% of the cost. The only thing they're asking for us is to provide the riprap that would be necessary as a velocity control of water coming out of the storm drain systems, so you don't get that erosion in the future, which is around $2,000, and the cost to their contractor is going to be around $40,000. So it's a good project. In the past, we had looked at doing this. However, we were going to have to put that land in an easement in perpetuity, which is a really, really long time. And that's not something that we were comfortable with doing. And this new MOA allows us to work with them and not do that. So it'll be something that I'll be bringing to the City Commission for consideration here shortly in the future as well. And then finally, obviously the legislative session is ongoing, and the House just released HB2, which is their proposed budget for this upcoming year. And within that budget, there's a special transportation appropriations, specifically to the Department of Transportation, and they have included $14 million in it for Highway 6084, which is the first phase of that project, taking it from Prince Street to about Grand Street. So that's exciting to see for our community, to where there's actually potentially going to be the funding put in place to start on that very important project for us. With that, I am happy to answer any questions.
A lot of information.
It's been since August.
I do have a couple of things, but I'd look to the committee for questions for Mr. Bunch or Mr. Howalt first. Does anybody have anything?
I wanted,
Okay.
how's the wastewater plant going down that Durwood's lift?
The water is still coming south.
Have we hired somebody
Mark's doing a
already?
great job, yeah.
Yeah, as you probably know, Durwood Billington resigned and basically retired from the city of Clovis and moved to Alabama. He was a valuable asset to the city, and we do miss him, but he had stepped up and trained a gentleman named Mark Hill to take his position or to run the plant, and he's doing a great job at this time. Unfortunately, we lost a valued member of the Public Works when Ruben Alfaro passed away from COVID a few months ago, and that put another hole in our wastewater division. And we do have another individual, Daniel Mays, that stepped up to the plate. He is a level 3 operator, and he's doing all the in-town services, and basically we haven't missed a beat. So we've been very fortunate that we had people that could step up in this time of need, and they're very valued, and I appreciate what they're doing for us.
Yes, we all do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've had a couple of calls on illegal dumping in alleys. I know this has been a continuing problem that we've dealt with over the years, but does that seem to be getting any better, or is it still a big issue?
It's still an issue. It's seasonal. When it's cold outside, less is dumped, and then when it starts warming up, then we start getting the people dumping illegally. When COVID first started and the lockdown started, I think everybody, not just in the city here, but everybody in the United States, maybe the world, were stuck at home doing home projects. So we had a massive influx of stuff in the alleys at that time, but since then it's slowed down. We're about to get our crews filled up. We've had a big hole in sanitation department on the bottom level on our laborer position. We were down 7 to 8 to 9 at different times. But we're about to have all those positions filled up. So we'll be sweeping those alleys hard this spring when it starts, when the massive amount starts to be brought to our alleys.
Good, good. Are we continuing to get the word out to the public about the landfill being free of charge to city residents?
Yes, every time somebody calls in with an alley call to our department, our receptionist or myself or Bill, whoever answers the phone at that time, lets them know that it is free of charge if you bring anything. If you're a city resident, you have proof of residence, it's free of charge no matter what size the load is to bring it to the landfill. And that has helped some. A lot of people did not know that. We've discussed in the past about maybe for future, we put some ads in the paper or maybe put it on the billing or whatever to try to inform the public of that, because, there's a lot of people that don't know that. And then there also is a lot of people that, there's a lot of people that don't have a pickup that
Right.
around here. You think a lot of people have a pickup, but there's some people that just can't get large debris to the landfill.
Right.
And we can do a social media campaign. We can get with Kelsey, and certainly push that out as well.
Okay, yeah, I think that'd be good. I think, any word we can get out to the public on this, I think is beneficial to the city, for sure. Also, the recycled containers that we had over on 21st, I know we had to move those. Have we found a location for those yet?
No, because of COVID, we really haven't, met with anybody personally and individually in these businesses. We've still kicking around some ideas. We did have permission from Chad Leidig to go ahead and set them out at the Rain Tree area, but we decided against that since they're doing the COVID shots out there right now. We didn't want any more traffic out there at this time to be in that way. So
Right.
we haven't made a final decision on where to move them at this time.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you. Appreciate that update. Clovis Municipal Schools, Mr. King.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Board Members, it's been a long time since
It
we've
is.
done this, and I didn't come prepared, but bear with me. I'll update you on everything I can remember that's going on at Clovis Schools, and just wanted to say, I miss not hearing from Durwood. We're going to miss him. He was a great asset to the city and a wonderful person to work with. So I guess I need to get the information from the replacement so I can make contact with him. So as we know, we've been working on Berry Elementary School for months and months and months, and we finally got state approval to put that out for RFP. It's out right now. I believe it's due, I think, in the next couple of weeks. The RFPs will come in. So we'll be able to make a selection for contractor. And hopefully we can begin construction on the classroom addition, roofing replacement, HVAC replacement within maybe the next 2 months or 3 months is probably what it'll take to get contracts and purchase orders and more state approvals and permitting and so on. So that's the big project that we've been working on. We're also working on getting state approval now for their participation, getting purchase orders issued for the high school G roof replacement and HVAC replacement out there. We have everything in place. The contractor's ready to go. procured that through the Gordian JOC process because it was actually in such bad shape that, you know, every time we have moisture, there's water coming in the building. So that was something that we were trying to get fast-tracked and get somebody in to get replaced. And of course, you've got to go through the steps with the state, and slows things down a little bit, which is frustrating for us, but we'll get through it. So I'm hoping that we can finalize that and get construction on that roof started within the next 4 to 6 weeks. We're working on finalizing design. We're about 90% complete with design for one of our summer projects, which is the flooring replacement at several of our schools. We're also working on final pricing for window and door replacement at several of our facilities. We just finished up the fire alarm replacement at the high school. And we've got a couple of more projects that we're working with the state with their funding sources to replace doors, windows, hardware. We're installing more cameras and infrastructure and equipment at the high school. Goodness, I think there's more, but that's a start.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I would just say congratulations to the schools on getting their bonds passed. I know it's obviously how you guys can maintain your infrastructure and keep it up to date, but congratulations to you guys on getting those passed.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, that was last week, and I'm not going to lie, we were nervous about that. You know, first time for a special election. As you know, the legislation that changed that process, and you know, so we were nervous about it as far as the outcome. We did quite a bit of outreach to the community to try to get as much information in their hands as possible so they would understand and could make you know, a good decision on what their vote would be related to the bond and the SB 9, and they were both successful. So we will continue with the projects as identified in those two issues, and we will be moving forward with more school improvements. So yeah, I want to thank everyone here and the community.
Yeah, and I think our community has definitely been not only appreciative, but supportive of our educational projects in Clovis, and you all do a great job, so thank you.
They have. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Hey, any other questions? No? Okay, move down for the good of the order. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add or speak to the committee about? A quiet group this morning. Okay, next meeting is scheduled for March 24th. And with that, I appreciate everybody being here. We are adjourned.